Welcome to News with a View, a Fat Cat production hosted by John A. Costa. That's me. This is episode 68. Well, May 22nd, 2025. And the big news is Congress passes Trump's big, beautiful bill. So one big, beautiful bill. And now it's off to the Senate. Now, one by one vote. So 215 to 214, but it's still a win, folks. So let me go into my other camera. There you go. So really, what's in the budget that makes everyone so enthusiastic or outright outraged? So basically, it's a tax cut for individual and businesses. And there's a lot. This is a big, 1,895 pages going in. So this is just a real skim over. There were campaign promises about no tips, no taxes on tips, overtime, and you can deduct your automobile car loan interest. So those were some quick things. Boost to the standard deduction, you get an extra $1,000. So a family filing singly, 16, family gets $32,000 right off the top. There's also a $500 temporary child tax credit. So brings it to $2,500 and through up to 2028. So that expires at the end of the term of the president, and that's done on purpose. There's a lot of that in here, and that way, any of the presidential hopefuls, in this case it will be Vance, unless something changes. He gets to go. I'm going to not only say that we're going to push this forward and do it again, but I want to increase it a little bit. So there's going to be some meat left on the bone. One of the issues that was a truly tough issue, and that is salt. So, and that is the state and local taxes that people have to pay, So, remember that had been capped at $10,000. So, in a state like California, New York, the Northeast, where your property taxes could be $20,000, you were only allowed to deduct $10,000. And that was a Trump initiative back in the day. That was done by Trump. Punish some of these states. That's exactly what it was. Call it, like I said, I call them as I see them. It's not knocking or doing anything. It's just being truthful. So this now has changed. The cap is $40,000 for incomes up to $500,000. And the cap phasing down for those with higher incomes. So, sliding scale tilts the other way for those rich people. But the average person making $500,000 or less, and that's, of course, after everything, will be able to deduct up to $40,000. So for those people, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And again, these tax breaks, and several of these expire at the end of his term. And again, like I said, this was for those people that are going to be running as a Republican will have their chance to go in there and go, I'm going to continue. Blah, 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 blah. Rough, rough, rough. So the other one, business taxes and small businesses, including partnerships and S corporations, will be able to subtract 23% of their qualified business income from their taxes. The deduction had been 20%, so they gave them a 3%. Well, 3% is better than nothing. And businesses will be temporarily be allowed to fully expense domestic research and development costs in the year that they occur. So you could write it all off instead of saying, hey, you have to do this over the next 5 years. And depreciate them as you go along. You just write them all off in the beginning and be done with it. And this is, again, to spur research and business so that you don't have to wait 5 years or 7 years to take your standard depreciation off your taxes, or 3 years. You could just do it in one big gulp, which can save a company, millions upon millions in taxes. And it's a way to have them invest in their productivity. And where there's been a lot of talk and concern has been in the food stamps and in Medicare, Medicaid, and how that is now going to work. Supplement nutrition, which is the SNAP program. States would shoulder 5% of the benefits cost beginning in 2028 and 75% of the administration cost. Currently, states pay none of the benefit and half of the administrative costs. So this doesn't happen till 2028. And again, all done so that the next guy has some meat on the bone to play with. Where they are doing is saying Republicans are also expanding the work requirement to receive food aid. Under current law, able-bodied adults without dependents must fulfill work requirements until they are 54. And that would change under this bill to age 64. So at 54, you don't get to retire and collect food stamps or Medicaid or whatever. If you can work, you're going to have to work. You can still receive them, but you got to work. Also, some parents are currently exempt from work requirements until their children are 18. That would change, so only those caring for a dependent child under the age of 7 are exempt. Now, that's one that's hard. And because you're going to have to find someone to take care of that child. And there are places, and there are cheap places, and there are state agencies, and there are things that you can do. But they really make it difficult. And it's not an easy process to have happen. So I'm trying to see where that glare is coming from. Right there. Don't know where that glare is coming from. It's coming from my light, I know. It might be coming from behind me. But that's what's going on with that. The focal point of the package is nearly $700 billion in reduced spending on the Medicare program. To be eligible for Medicare, there'd be new community engagement requiring at least 80 hours per month of work, education, or services for able-bodied adults without dependents. The new requirement would not kick in until January 1st, 2029. So again, it's leaving plenty of meat on the bone for someone else to go in there and go, no, we're not going to do that, or we're going to change it. I know my predecessor said this, but looking at it and stuff, and we feel that that blah 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 blah. So, and there's lots of screaming about that. That is only going to hurt the poor. Can't say it will, can't say it won't. Might make them have to go to work. But. And there'll be no taxes on gun silencers. Well, I don't know how much money they brought on gun silencers, but there'll be no more taxes on it. So you won't hear that coming too. Yeah, that's a joke. It's a bullet joke. Yeah. And also no money for Planned Parenthood and more. So the package would eliminate a $200 tax on gun silencers that existed since Congress passed the National Firearms Act in 1934. The elimination of the tax is supported by the NRA. Shocking, I tell you, shocking. I didn't realize it was from 1934, a $200 tax. It's incredible. So Planned Parenthood saying there's nothing going there. Democrats say defunding the organization will make it harder for millions of patients to get cancer screening, Pap tests, and birth control. No, they'll have to pay for it. And a lot of these places do offer it for free, regardless if they're getting money. And really, liberals then give money to those organizations. Give money to Planned Parenthood so they can continue doing what they do. So they're not going to get our dollars anymore, but they can certainly get your dollars. You can voluntarily, remember, like I say, donate money. Give to a charity. Give to a cause that you know of and you feel aligned to. You can do it. You could do it. And if I was these agencies, I would say that you could check a box to say that this money can't be used for abortions, or this money, this goes into another fund that can't commingle in with other money used for abortions or used for birth control. That this is only to get children vaccinated, or to do Pap tests, to do mammograms, to do things of that sort. These organizations should, if they're not, maybe they are, I don't know, should have some type of thing where the money that you want to give, if you're against counseling for abortions, to push an abortion, or to perform an abortion, that money can't be used for that. And that money has to be accounted for in another ledger. And that would be fine. I probably wouldn't mind giving a couple of bucks to that, as long as my money isn't being used for something I'm against. And if you won't do that, if you won't make that change, or you won't do that type of politics, I don't give you money. How about that? So then there's the MAGA Kids $1,000 savings account. No, folks, it's not Make America Great Again. It's money accounts for growth and advancement. For parents or guardians who open new MAGA accounts for their children, the federal government will contribute $1,000 for babies born between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2028. So if you were a grandparent and stuff and you opened an account for one of these children for $1,000, the government would give you $1,000 to put in there too. Now, of course, they can't get the money. They're just all for education. But if there was any money left over at age 30, they get it without any restrictions. That's not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. Got to see where the money is sitting, what type of account, is it in a, paying an account at 1.2%, but whatever, they're giving you $1,000. So you're getting 100% return. Yeah, it ain't bad. And I love, because this came out of, I took all this stuff out of the Associated Press. Just the facts, not verbatim, But they said funding for Trump's mass deportation operation. Well, $46.5 billion to revive the construction of the wall. $4 billion to hire an additional 3,000 new Border Patrol agents, as well as 5,000 new custom officers, and $2.1 billion for signing and retention bonuses. So we're going to keep those good people employed and give them bonuses when they do good. So, and also funds for 10,000 more immigration and customs enforcement officers and investigators. So really, just so you understand, the 10,000 number was the same 10,000 number that Biden wanted to use for the IRS. So they're just reshuffling manpower. My thing, all right. Now here's the question that I would be asking if I was on the other team. And I said my show is about looking at both sides, right? You hire these 10,000 people, you get all these bonuses, you get all these retention, you get 2,100 here, you get 5,000 more over there. What do you do with them when, let's say, Trump gets everything he wants and he can deport whoever he wants and we deport them? Then what do we do with these people? Have they worked themselves out of a job? Are you going to transition them into other jobs inside the federal government? So you're not going to reduce the size of the federal government, you're just going to shuffle them somewhere else. The weight of the mass is going to stay the same because nothing is being drawn off of it. So that would be one of my questions. That, okay, let's say you're screaming, you get everything, you get everything you want, and you get all these people out. Then what happens to these people? What is your plan? Well, to keep those people out. Okay, well that's the wall, and that's greater scrutiny at our immigration. But do you now need 7,500 extra people? Or do you need 5,500 less people? is this just grandstanding? And, we'll show you. And those are legitimate questions to be asked of our government. This isn't me taking a liberal stance or anything. It's me asking a question of, you get everything you want, now what? And when they're no longer a threat and policies will work in 7 to 8 years, what do you do with these? Are you going to say, well, the standard attrition of people retiring and leaving should cure that problem? This is our anticipated. This is our average age. Do you have those facts and figures? It's just a question that I would ask. Not to be a ball buster, or not to say, hey, it might be to show maybe you have not thought everything out yet. And, you might turn around and go, I don't read tea leaves. I can't tell you what's going to happen. And that you might then ask other questions. So, I don't mind questions. Just make them good questions. Don't make them wasteful questions. So this is also the revamping of the student loan program. Yeah, pay. So the proposal would replace all existing student loans repayment plans with just two. Standard option with monthly payments spread out over 10 to 25 years, and a repayment assistance plan that generally is less generous than those it would replace. So part of it is that they're going to stop, or it limits the amount that the Biden bill had about defrauding, and students that felt that they were defrauded can then get all their money, blah blah, or the loan erased. So, or schools that just closed down, they can't fulfill their obligation, but you paid. This bill will actually make it harder for them to say, well, I didn't get my education and that was an accredited school and it went out. Well, if you went to a private school, it's a private school. In those loan papers, it does say if that school closes, blah, 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 blah. You fail out, you still owe the money. So there would be a tax increase up to 21% on some university endowments. So some of these colleges that have tax-free endowments, and you give your house to them, and they sell it and they get to keep all that money, that might change. So just saying. More drilling, mining on public lands. Well, we knew that was going to happen. Drill, 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 baby. The other thing that got pushed in there was the sales of hundreds of thousands of acres of public land in Nevada and Utah, prompting outrage from Democrats and environmentalists. Well, make sure your posters and your banners are all on recyclable material. I don't know. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much stuff under education and other things that I could take 2 months going over, each one. and probably would only be able to make sense out of 1 out of every 100. You would need the people that created it and to explain it. But, so now the bill goes to the Senate, which should pass easily, and then go to the president for his signature, and then yay, we have a budget. This is probably one of his most, Trump's signature campaign promises, is the passing of this bill and almost what he had wanted. There was some give backs on stuff, and it's a little back and forth action, but this is a key win, huge win for the president once it passes the Senate, which it will pass the Senate. I'd be shocked if it didn't. And you'll hear from the left media, oh, the Senate is in the process of, destroying Trump's, big, beautiful, and you'll be hearing that. Anything coming from the left media, I wouldn't believe them. If I was standing in the rain and they came and told me, hey, it's raining and you're getting wet, I wouldn't believe them. The lies and the continued lies out of the left is amazing. They've learned nothing. Nothing. Going into that, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough confronted on viral best Biden ever clip. Remember that? March of 2024, Morning Joe. Start your tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually analytical, is the best Biden ever. F you. 2024, March. The lies. And now he turns around and looking back at that, do you say, well, it was misleading to say the best Biden ever without caveating it and saying except, when it's not his best days ever? And Scarborough insisted he never saw bad days personally. Well, if he didn't see bad days personally, I guarantee you he didn't see the best days either. Because they were side by side. This has been a problem with left media not to face the truth about Joe Biden, not to believe what they were actually seeing. And you could have plausible deniability, but it was just too many times. And I'm not talking about him tripping up the stairs or something like that. I'm not even talking about him missing a word or stumbling over a word. I'm talking just a complete zone out, a lack of being able to stay on the course. It was just so apparent that he was having problems. And the Democrats knew that if they would have said, yeah, today he had a bad day, they know that people would be screaming, well, what happened if that day was the day Russia decided to move on Europe? Or China decided to move on Taiwan and he has a rough day? And again, these are what ifs. Because in reality, China didn't attack Taiwan on a good day or a bad day with Biden. Russia did not attack Europe, except for the Ukraine, but not Europe or NATO partners. So when I hear that too, well, did they happen? Did the moon break orbit? Because that could happen and come crashing into the earth. The sun could blow up. Stuff happens. The difference is that, we know the moon is stable. We know the sun is stable. What we don't know is China and Russia, are they stable? So this is why you need someone that's always on their game. Or at least on their game in public. And Biden, if the news, and they did, Fox and some other news people stayed longer on a speech than the 15-second snippet that you saw, and you saw Biden unwind, and you'd go, why aren't they showing that? And when Fox did, and the people questioned, oh, you're traitors, you're conspirators, you're conspiracies, don't you have a Capitol to take over right now? Isn't there a Capitol building you should be taking over right now? So you got all that from them. And you got your Schumers and your Pelosi's and your Waters and your Warrens and your Scarboroughs and everyone over at CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS, all on the news saying, great, he's great, this is fantastic. It's amazing, 81 years old, 82 years old, this guy is great. This just shows you what old people can do, or seniors. Yeah, and it wasn't true. It just wasn't true. So, now, of course, the blowback. And all the lies are coming out, and now, everything's coming out. And you can't defend it. Schumer can't defend what he had said. Warren has already been called out on it, and she's a piece of shit. Schiff. I want these people investigated, honestly, because they perpetrated a fraud in first saying that, Biden, give us money. We need money to beat Trump. This is the guy, the best ever. and it was a lie. And they knew it was a lie. And Scarsborough can say, well, I never actually saw those bad days, but now looking at it, you saw those bad days. How were you coerced into saying those weren't bad days? Smart guy, right? All these people, smart people. So I'm not going to say they were fooled or we were duped. You weren't duped. You were part of the conspiracy. You were part of the fraud. If I was a Democrat who gave money to the DNC, I'd be screaming, I got defrauded. I was taken. And they're going to come back and ask for more money. And I hope these people go, no, we're not giving it to you. Sorry. No, we got to think about it. And let me think about it. And then when they leave, I'll send you an email. No, we thought about it. No, bad. Nope. You'll see about 60% of their donors won't be donors in 2026. They're just not going to go down that road. Now you'll have the die-hard people that will give money. The $2, the $5, the cup at the colleges. And they'll get a lot of money. They'll get a lot of money. But you're not going to have big donors who will go out on a limb this time again and go, no, I just can't. And along that train of thought, ABC executives hit the View hosts with this shocking Trump request. Now, it's not Trump making the request. Disney and ABC heads reportedly called on the hosts of The View to dial down the political talk on the program. And The View turned around and said, panel, we're not having any of this. The host, Whoopi Goldberg, Joe Bear, Sonny Hostin, they all said, we're not stopping this, and we're going to continue Trump bashing. This is not stopping with The View. The political rhetoric seemingly disturbed top executives such as Disney CEO Bob Iger and ABC News president, I won't even try to pronounce his name, the latter who met with the host and the show's executive producers to suggest that they cool it. And the women of The View sources explain weren't having any of it with this silly request, and they're going to keep on doing what they're doing. This is what our audience wants. It isn't going to look kind of bad if we all of a sudden not talk about politics. So, ABC had also talked to Jimmy Kimmel, and that was in 2022. And Kimmel said, fire me. He ain't doing it. So ABC is telling their shows on the political end, yeah, take it down a notch. And they're saying no. It will be interesting because, see, in the end, it doesn't matter how many people are in their audience. It's going to be the advertisers. And every person, I do it all the time. I go on their sites. I saw this. I'm not going to buy it. Yeah. This guy said this, and you're sponsoring that. So that means you agree with what that guy said. You know, I don't have to buy my cheese from Borden. I don't have to buy, my meat from Boar's Head. I have other choices. So I'll go there. So the idea that, hey, this is what our audience wants. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But if the advertiser's going, well, your audience is not buying my product, yeah, I'm not gonna, what am I doing supporting the show? I could spend that money on, something else. And this is a huge factor that goes on inside, and that's why they like sponsors to sign 2-year commitments. And there's always caveats in there too, that if the show doesn't hit a certain percentage point, we give you make goods, or we return, or we work out another deal in another show. But if all your shows are down in the mud, like, ABC and NBC and CBS, how are you going to pay for that? No. And the reality is that ABC and NBC and CBS, they need to be competing against Netflix and HBO and all these other ones that are out there. They gotta compete against them, and it's expensive to do. I can't see Sundance and CBS continuing with like the Colbert Show. They might take it to 1 day a week or 2 days a week, or just dump the time and put back, the best of Mannix. Show some old Mission Impossibles in those time things, and let stations pick it up if they want to, and give that time back to the stations. Let them put up info commercials. So, there's a lot of things going inside the media right now. Just look at CBS and 60 Minutes. And you have Warren saying that any settlement with Trump will look like a bribe. And we're going to investigate CBS for that. What Warren is doing is blackmail. It is out and out blackmail. There is a legally filed civil suit from one party to another party. The suit is allowed. It's been vetted to the point where, hey, the dates are getting close. You're going to have to come and sit, and, the aggrieved party or is going to present their evidence, and then you get to present yours. And it could take years. And the dollar amount being asked for is pretty high. Now, if CBS wants to continue with the deal with Sundance, they could go to Sundance and say, yeah, all right, you got to hold $20 billion in reserves. Just in case you lose this. And he's awarded $20 billion. Then you can go ahead with sales as long as you have the money off to the side. And that's all we're looking at this point. Or you guys can make a settlement. Don't have to take it to court, and the court does not even have to be involved in that settlement other than both parties have agreed to a settlement outside the courts. And the court will just say, hey, is this true? Did you agree to this? Did you agree to it? Or are you both happy with it? Yes? Bye. Now they have to produce to the court, some type of settlement agreement so that, one party can't back out, and then that's a whole different thing. But done and done. All right? You hand the check over to them. You accept the check. Miller time. So you can't stop that. And the fact that you're saying, well, we're going to look at it as a bribe and trying to force pressure on it when they have none. The government should not be even involved in this portion of it other than the FCC with what is alleged has happened. It could be a breach of the public trust. And under your FCC licenses, there's certainly language in there that must be adhered to. So you have the networks now telling all their people, calm down a little bit, take it easy. We got 4 years. Slow down. So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think you can trust these people. These people are so rabid at this point that there is no making sense of any of things that the left is trying to. There is no reason. The reasonability with the left is gone. They're just out of their minds. And there's no coming back from that. All right. Health news. U.S. officials delayed warning to the public about heart inflammation risks from COVID shot. Anyone shocked by that? Anyone taking a, oh my God, moment here from that? That government officials, hand in hand with Joe Biden's administration, held back warnings to the American public of a direct link between the mRNA vaccine and myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart. And even when doctors were starting to report this, there were people inside the CDC saying, hey, should we start making this information available? And the answer was no. No. So, Chairman of the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, Representative Johnson, Republican, Wisconsin. He has been heading up this investigation. Johnson report says that 2,473 pages of records he obtained contained evidence of Biden's administration's effort to downplay and delay warning the public about the risk of myocarditis associated with the COVID-19 shot. Okay. The report points to records from May 2021 in which health officials at HHS discussed whether to inform and issue a formal warning about this possible side effect. Myocarditis. According to the report, a formal warning was initially going to be distributed nationwide to the CDC. But was halted. So, and based on subpoenaed records from subcommittees had received to date, to the subcommittees, as well as Freedom of Information Act documents and internal reports will highlight records and present a timeline of when U.S. officials knew the risk and those officials downplayed the health concern. The report shows that the CDC officials discussing safety signals, but still not taking immediate steps to warn the public. So, documents obtained by Johnson also show CDC officials communicating directly with Moderna and Pfizer about the risk. Johnson also obtained draft meeting notes from late May 2021 exchange between U.S. public health officials, which included questions the VARES, which is that's where any health concerns get pushed to, so all the doctors and everyone can start seeing it. The VARES is the acronym for Vaccine and Adverse Event Reporting System. So instead of making that report known to people, they decided not to do it at all and waited. So, what do you think about that? You think that that was a good idea? You think that was the right thing to do? Well, we didn't want to scare people. We wanted people to get the vaccine, 16-year-olds, the 24-year-olds, the people most being affected by the adverse reaction. What do you think of that? Think that was a good call? And how about the people that started complaining about that? And said, hey, there's stuff being reported about this vaccine that really needs to be looked at. Go get the shot if you want the shot. But they're not telling you. And, I remember I had family members, I had people calling me, you're an idiot. What happened to you? Why do you think they would lie? What's the purpose? And I'll say it again. It was all about control. You can only walk one way down an aisle shopping. You must be 6 feet behind. You must wear a mask. You can't be in a room with more than 2 people. You can't have your windows open. All based on stuff that had no science to it. The mask had the N95 mask right on the side. Doesn't stop viruses. Wear a sock over your mouth. Make a cloth and put it over your mouth. I still see people walking around with masks. And the majority are black. I don't know what that's about. Unless they're robbing someone. But, I'll make a joke about it, and you look at them, the mask's half off, or it's pulled down under their nose. Or they've been wearing it for the last 6 weeks. You know how long you're supposed to wear an N95 mask for? No longer than 15 minutes. And when you go into the next room in a hospital, you have to take that off and put a new one on. Because all you'd be doing is taking germs from over there and bringing it over there. And my best highlight about all this nonsense is my wife was in the hospital. They didn't know what was wrong with her. We said, hey, we were down in the Keys. Maybe she got bit by something. We don't know. And they came in spacesuits. Honestly, they had big placards on the door. You can't come in. You had to wear this stuff. And the nurses were all coming in. And all of a sudden I see the poor woman that has to clean the room. No gear on. Nothing. Not even a freaking mask. And she's taking the garbage out and they're doing all this. And I'm looking at her. And I just take my garb off. And I go, she just came from like 19 rooms down there. I was watching her. No one said anything to her. And so whatever that person had, and all those people down there, and whoever she goes from here, I go, I bet I can go down on every floor and see that same thing. I go, I'm not wearing this crap. And they just looked at me, didn't say anything, and all right. And then lo and behold, oh yeah, your wife doesn't have any of this stuff bad. You don't have to do this anymore. Bullshit. I play the Bravo Sierra card. And this is what's going on. This is what this was all about. Power. This wasn't, hey, we don't know. We honestly don't know what's going on here, and we're just throwing stuff up on the wall to slow it down. That's all we're doing. We don't know if it's going to work, if it's not going to work. But best practices tells us that maybe we should do this. All right. But you don't wear a mask, you just killed your grandparents. Or we can't have any old person see their relatives. Going to move them into a shelter. And no, it's not a hospital. It's an old age home. Well, how are they going to get help? Because they're sick now. And no, we're going to let them die. Andrew Cuomo was the angel of death in New York. New Jersey had their mini angel of death too. This whole administration, the media, all lied to us. They misinformed us. And not out of being misinformed themselves. Though some of it was misinformation fed to them, and they just... But when people started questioning, they go, oh, no, you're a MAGA. Here's the clown outfit. You and your clown. Remember that? And we go, no, it doesn't make sense. Traitor. You're traitors. Well, every one of you got Trump now. And your lies have caught up with you. And there is no turning back now. Your fate is sealed. I want to see justice. Not revenge. Though revenge is a dish that should be served cold. But I want to see justice. I want these people that lied, knowingly lied. Pelosi, Waters, Schiff, Schumer, Warren. I want them dragged out. And even if they have presidential pardons, doesn't mean we can't put them on some sort of trial. They just can't be convicted of it. That's all that means. They just can't be convicted of it. And we can get them on things that they said after that took effect. So you can't go into the future. So if we ask a Pelosi today, Nancy, did you lie? And if she says, yes, I lied. Okay. Can't do anything about it. Telling the truth. Can't go back. It's done. But if she were to say, no, I'm not lying. No, Biden was perfect. No. You're lying now. You're covered from before. And you're covered if you tell the truth. But you're not covered now. Now you're lying. And part of the thing they're doing with the auto pen is to see if the president was actually in control of that at the time. But I don't think that goes anywhere. I don't think you can prove it. I don't think it could be done. And if you went and asked the president, did you sign it? He might turn around. I don't know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. What do you do? What do you do? If you can get the people around him to go, if we're able to prove that he didn't, and you were part of a cover-up, we're going to ask for the death penalty. Now, if you want some type of cut deal now, where we'll let you go, you could be as free as a bird. All we're trying to do here is seek the truth and unravel some of this. But if you lie, and we're able to move forward on this, and we find out you lied to us, we're going to seek the death penalty, treason, whatever we can do. You'll spend 10 years in jail just waiting for trials. So, I think we can shake that tree and see what falls out. All right, with that, I'm going to say good night. This will go up at about 10:30 tonight. It is currently, I don't know, about 4:30. 4:10. And we'll go from, take me about 2 hours to do all this, and I might go out tonight, haven't decided yet. The Socrates Station, the best place, at least for me, in Socrates, South Carolina. Fun place. Except after about 4 or 5 drinks, everything's funny. I'm going to say good night. God bless. Congratulations to my grandson Christopher, who got a award in his senior year, all ready for graduation. Saying hello to my grandson Rowan, Danielle, Paul, Cannoli. Cannoli is a parrot. So hello, Cannoli. Anything else? Don't want to make this other announcement yet, but I will make an announcement. And it's nothing. It's a joyful announcement. My other grandson, Joey, and his fiancée, Allie, hello. Trying to get all this out. Going to start. I keep saying I'm going to push, and I haven't. Other stuff has come up. And like I said, I'm still trying to refine some of this show and trying to get things to fit right and look right and be right. Sad news on another podcaster, very, very famous podcaster, Scott Adams, who announced the other day that he is in the terminal mode of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones also. And Scott Adams is the creator of the Dilbert comic. And it was just, it still is. I loved listening to his podcast, and I get some ideas. I don't steal those ideas, because why? But I do look at, okay, he's asking a question in this type of manner. I'm not asking the same question, but I see how he is asking the question and how he puts things forward in a way that I enjoy, and I want people to enjoy the same thing. And that's why I said a lot of this I put out there, and I just look at you and go, well, what do you think? And then I tell you what I think, because it's my show. One of the things that we are going to be doing is going live. I'm going to do one show a week live. and that is coming up. One show a week live. And then on the website, which I cannot stand, the website that I have, it's a WordPress. I hate WordPress. I'm going to just bite the bullet and move it, stop paying where I'm at, and go back to a long-standing hoster, GoDaddy, that I enjoyed. So, and with that, I'm going to say goodnight. Give to a charity, give to a food bank. You reach out to the charity, don't have that charity reach out to you. Don't become a victim helping a victim. And with that, I'm going to fade to black.